Right? He's got deals going all over the place. He's got from ground up construction, build to rent. He got some multifamily he has right now. And now he said, the heck with all of it. He said, I'm going to go a different route. And he's went to the RV park route, right? And as I was coming through the Great Smoky Mountains yesterday, on my way back to the city, I saw all these RV parks. I'm like, oh, I see why now. So, Don, thank you for coming, taking time with your family. All right. The floor is yours, Don. Thank you again for coming.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for inviting me. My pleasure to be here, of course. And yeah, like you said, it was actually probably just a year and a half ago, I think, when we first probably met. It was early 2021 when I started getting active on going to meetups and getting active on LinkedIn and all that kind of stuff. So it wasn't even 2 years ago. And yeah, like I said, I was very quiet. I'm very much an introvert, still am. It took a lot of, I guess, motivation to really push me forward to get out of my shell. And a lot of that came from the support from people like yourself and Angel. The other people that these meetups that would kind of just encourage me to keep pushing and getting things done. So I'll start. I guess
seeing stuff. I'm not sure, but Angel in the chat just said some inappropriate words. Not really sure about that.
It must be a different Angel Williams.
I promise you, I did not.
It seems interesting.
I recognize that kid. He's
that's what I was just gonna say.
Yep. Don, just keep on going. He's going already.
Sorry. Yes.
He's going already.
No worries.
Go ahead. You continue on, Don.
Okay. No problem. Let's see. I'm gonna share a screen here, kind of give you some information. I guess about more about me. I guess so. Let's see here. You guys can see this. Yeah. Okay.
You can.
All right. So like Lawrence said here, Mr. International, and we were talking about mainly here to talk about Happy Camper Capital, and I'll get into more about what all that is. You also see Beyonder there on the screen. Beyonder is our campground management company, and I'll get into more of that too a bit here on. But so what we are doing with Happy Camper Capital, of course, we are purchasing RV resort campgrounds, creating multi-generational wealth for our investors and great experiences for those that are at these campgrounds to have a good time. Not just people that are coming there for camping, but also our investors that can go to these properties as well and have a good time. So here's a little bit about me. I'm a father of 4 kids. I've got 3 girls and a boy. Our oldest 2 are college age now. The second one just started this semester a couple weeks ago, I guess, moved out of the house. So we still got 2 at home, a 16-year-old and a 10-year-old. We enjoy, of course, doing things together as a family as much as we can, traveling as often as we can. My wife is from South America and Paraguay, so we do speak Spanish at home as well. We took a trip to Paraguay this last June, spent most of the month there to visit my wife's family mostly. We are members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, more commonly known as Mormon. So we hold religion is a very high part of our life, I guess I'd say. I keep my morals high and my integrity high. I did have my educational background is around finance, investment science, portfolio management. I graduated magna cum laude from UNO, the University of Nebraska at Omaha. As you can see there, my hobbies are coin collecting. That's pretty much the only hobby I really have that I should do and enjoy. And I do have a fascination for ancient Egyptian culture. What you see there is actually, I hand painted that myself on a basement wall of our house when we lived in Omaha, Nebraska. That was essentially my theater room that we had at the time of our very first house that we bought as our family home. So I started in 2017, kind of like the purpose of this meetup, the financial independence through small multifamilies. I started with small multifamilies, buying four-plexes. The very first property I bought was in 2017, here about 45 minutes south of where I'm at in Idaho. I found it at the time on Craigslist, of all things. I had been actively searching, trying to find a deal I could find. My wife is a realtor, so we were searching the MLS. I was searching, Zillow or anything else I could think of to find anything that could come up. Running the numbers, I probably analyzed at least 100 properties before I really found comfortable, and then came across this one. And the numbers looked great. At the time, it met the 1% rule. So if you believe it or not, I bought this four-plex thing for 200. I can't remember myself now. I'll say 265,000, I think. Actually, I said on there, 264, it's right on the screen. And I used a local lender that does 10% down payments. So I was able to get into the very low money. And on top of that, I had literally no savings. We had a large amount of debt, but I was able to leverage my 401k, which again didn't have a whole lot in there, but enough that I could borrow from it to get this down payment to purchase this property. Because I saw this as honestly our only true, I guess, possible expectation to reach where we wanted to be in life, get out of debt, to reach financial independence. So I knew we needed to get started. This property came up, found a way to make it happen. Took about a year and a half later before I got to anything else. Another couple fourplexes in Arkansas this time. I bought them both together as a package with 15% down. So update on both those properties. So that first property I bought in 2017, I recently, at the beginning of this year, refinanced it, pulled out well over $100,000. Again, I only put $26,000 down on it, pulled out over $100,000, here less than 5 years later. Still own the property. It still cash flows about $1,200 a month. The second those two fourplexes in Arkansas, actually sold them both just a week ago, closed on them. Not because I wanted to necessarily get out, but they weren't actually producing as good as I thought they would be, at least on the initial analysis paper wise. Not a very good, I guess, tenant base in that area. Not much appreciation, but at least enough that I got out of it, and I'm taking that capital to put back into the other things that we've got going on. The third deal that kind of came up is where I kind of made my switch into commercial, as I was starting to get into bigger properties, trying to get into apartment buildings and things. This opportunity came up to acquire some land that could be flipped. Essentially, it was very undervalued commercial land in a high growth area. I got it under contract myself, went out and found partners that had the cash to bring to close it. So I've had $0 in that deal. 2.3 acres in Maumelle, Arkansas, which is basically northwest Little Rock. Basically, that circle you see there is the land. Right next to it, and you see in the picture there is a large assisted living center that's currently under construction, being built. Brand new high school just down the road. We'd planned to sell that in 2020, but of course the COVID stuff that got put on hold. We still have it today. Currently considering possibly building on it instead of just selling it, but still have the option to sell that possibly. We do have a lot of interested parties, so we're kind of weighing options on it. The next deal that came up was just down the road from that one. Another lot that I got into that I went into it knowing that I wanted to build something on it. Wasn't sure just what. I saw an opportunity to either build some like high-end townhomes or commercial space. Because of the area this was at. Just running the numbers, I saw that the commercial space would make more sense. The overall cash flows, returns would be better, and a lot less headaches with the tenants. So again, I got it under contract, found a partner that could bring some cash to help get it moved along. We closed on that land in essentially almost a year and a half ago, I guess April of 2021. We just broke ground on that the last 2 weeks. To finally start building on that. We eventually brought in a third partner to bring in additional liquidity for it. As none of us had any experience with construction or development. We didn't really quite know what we were getting into, but I saw that opportunity was there, and it's like, why not go for it and give it a try? We weren't afraid of what the unknown, So that's working out great so far. Should be done by the end of this year, and that's a 5-tenant commercial space. Either triple net or double net, at least on those properties, depending on what we work out with the tenants. And then while that was all going on, again, early last year, as Lauren said at the very beginning here, I became more active on social media, LinkedIn particularly, going to many meetup events. Like every single day that I would just go to meetup events because that's all I really had. I didn't have anything to sell or promote, but I wanted to get to know people, have people get to know me, knowing that at some point down the road I would get into some kind of opportunity where I could have some deals to bring to people and need investors, need people to trust in me enough to want to invest with me. And that's kind of where this other project came along. That you see is that fifth deal I got into was a large 800 unit development project here in Idaho Falls, Idaho. I kind of so that kind of came about just through general networking. The guys that are doing that project are local developers here in the area. They actually contacted me a few years before to invest in something they were doing. At the time, I turned it down because I was getting better returns on like these fourplexes I was buying and things, and but I kept in contact with them. They were always building like townhome communities and selling them. Never anything built to rent. They were just building and selling, everything. So they came to me early last year with another project they were doing, asking if I wanted to invest in that deal. This time it got me more interested because it was offering better returns. I was not finding as many good deals anymore. So I was like, yeah, that sounds interesting. By this point, I've started going to these meetup events, and so I kind of told these guys, I'm like, hey, I'm now connecting with many people that could be potential investors in your deals. If you're willing to work with me, I'd be happy to come work with you guys and maybe help bring some capital to your deals. So they agreed and brought me on board to their team. And like the very next deal that came up was this large development project. So I kind of right away got into it, started trying to raise capital for this. Totally inexperienced, had never raised capital before other than these like JV deals, finding a partner, which is not the same thing. So I was still relatively unknown, had no real experience. But I was trying to just present people to this opportunity to get in this deal with some people that had lots of experience with development. So I was here just to, hey, I'm giving you this opportunity. So it worked out pretty well. Again, for my very first time trying to raise capital on something that's somewhat unknown to most people, as people saw construction projects as a very speculative. I did pretty good overall. But that kind of led into, as all this was going on, I was still trying to get into other deals. I was trying to find these other either JV properties or bigger syndication deals that I could either get under contract and take to a syndicator. Someone like Angel will say, they say, hey, I've got this deal. Let's go syndicate this and do something with it. And, or even smaller things like a 10 to 20 unit, like a JV with somebody on, and just not finding anything that really stood out to me or anything that I'd feel comfortable asking somebody else to put money into. I was not satisfied with the 6 to 8% returns as most syndications were offering. But at the same time, I didn't want to just sit on the sidelines and miss out on opportunities. As I saw, everybody posting about different things, I was like, what am I missing here? So I started to get this like FOMO feel that I didn't want to be left behind. And but I was like, every time I'd get involved in something, almost to the point of hitting a button to say, invest, I was just like, something just caused me to hold back. It's like, there's got to be something better. I don't want to also regret it, get into something and then have my money tied up and then miss out on something better that could come along. Right? The opportunity cost was a big deal for me. So I did not have lots of funds to invest in different things, very little at all. So I was like, I wanted to get the best bang for the buck I could. So about a year ago, I heard somebody talking about on a podcast about these RV campgrounds, something that I had not considered before. But where I live, I'm like an hour and a half away from Yellowstone Park. A very high camping area. All my neighbors have campers and RVs. And so I was like, hey, there could be some opportunity there. So I decided to research it more and started going to different meetups or webinars, talking about this space, connecting with other people in that space, just networking with them. Initially, I was like, hey, if nothing else, I can be a boots on the ground. If you want to buy something in this area, I can go check it out for you, take videos. My wife's a realtor. We can help with the purchase, all those things. Never really thinking of getting much into that space really, but I met a couple of guys in those networking events who had just bought their first property in early 2021 and were looking to grow their team, and that was Adam Lendy and Justin Hoggett, who are the two co-founders of Happy Camper Capital. So many people think that Happy Camper Capital is my company. I started it because they see me talking about it all the time, but it was not me. It was these two, Adam and Justin. They started it. They did their first deal all by themselves, just those two together, did all the capital raising, all the underwriting, all the analysis, all the management, everything to get it going, and then realized this is a lot of work. We can't do it alone. So they wanted to grow their team and build it because they saw the vision of where it could go and what it could be. So as we talked and discussed the kind of opportunities they were seeing, the kind of returns they were getting, and where I was looking to go with my expectations for what the kind of returns I was looking to get, and what I could bring to the team, everything seemed to align pretty much, I guess, and they actually invited me to join up with them. And so this was, probably around this time of last year, fall of 2021. So for me, that was a bit of a difficult decision to make. I was focused mostly on multifamily stuff in different ways. I had just joined a couple mastermind groups that were focused on multifamily. And my purpose for joining those masterminds was mainly to find partners and to get into deals, have opportunities to JV or whatever it may be, and something multifamily. So I was like, if I go to these meetup events, these mastermind groups and things, and tell them I'm looking into RV campgrounds, are they going to laugh at me, kick me out, tell me to go away, never want to do anything with me again, consider me like a traitor, right? But as all those thoughts are going through my head, at the same time I thought, who cares? So I'm like, I was like, I got to do what's best for me. And I saw this as a huge opportunity. And I was like, 3-5 years from now, if I look back and regret not taking this chance, how's that going to make me feel? So I was like, what have I got to lose, right? I at least give it a try. If it works out, great. If it doesn't, at least I tried, and then I can go back to multifamily. So I was like, all right, let's go for it. So I joined up with them of November of last year, and it's just been like Lawrence said earlier on, just gone gangbusters. It's kind of taken over my life in a good way. And I'm so glad that I took that chance. So what we do with Happy Camper Capital is we purchase existing RV resort campgrounds and marinas across the country. We're not in any specific region or area. We look literally everywhere across the country. We most cases are going directly to the owners. Most of these properties are not listed on with any brokerage or anything. We have had some that we have closed with brokers, but most of the time we are contacting the owners directly, working out a deal directly with them. In some cases, we even have seller financing on the properties. So we find these great deals, getting to these great prices, great purchase prices to provide great value and great returns to our investors. And we do these through syndications. Most everything we've done so far has been 506Bs, and we do have some 506C opportunities coming up as well, but we want to always have 506B opportunities available because our ultimate goal is really we want to help people to become accredited investors. And most people, even like myself included, a few years ago, I would not have been able to get into any 506C deals. All of the best ones I came across and saw were all 506C. And I'm like, well, I can't get in those. So that sucks. So we want to help people like myself in the past, and anybody that wants to or can get into these deals and get that cash flow, number one, and start building wealth to later become accredited investors and get into more 506C deals. So again, to get some clarification, the term RV parks is kind of thrown out a bit. So just to clarify everything, these are RV resort campgrounds, not mobile home parks. Some people kind of consider the name the same, RV park, mobile home park, not the same thing. The properties we purchase are not people living there long-term, like basically a mobile home park, but with an RV. That's not it at all. Okay. These are places where people are going to have fun, go create some fun experiences and memories, and then they go back home. So what's great about this space is, again, that people don't live here. It gives us lots of opportunities to do lots of things. And the people that are coming there are typically, if you have an RV or a camper, especially one that like the one in the picture there, for example, these are not cheap little things, right? They're very expensive, more expensive than your average car or truck. In some cases, more expensive than even a house. So people that own them have disposable income that they're using to buy these luxury items. So therefore, they're not as affected typically by recessions or other things going on in the environment. So the properties we pursue are within a 2 or 3 hour drive of a major city. So even if there's something going on, like gas prices going crazy, people aren't going to take a cross-country trip and something like this, but they'll still drive a couple hours to go have fun and get out and do things outdoors. And so that provides this great opportunity for us to always have continual usage. As Lawrence said, he drove past some while he was out, and they're typically always packed and filled, especially during the summer months. But even some year, depending where you're at, year round, you get high occupancy rates. And what really happened, of course, because of the pandemic boom, people have decided to they can't travel maybe to popular vacation places, or even in my case, we were going to take an international trip in 2020. We had to cancel it. So if you can't go out and have fun and where you want to go with other vacation, you'll at least, hey, let's go do something nearby, like a staycation or something. But because of the pandemic, people now can more often work from home. So if you don't have anything tying you down to a certain city or area, why not travel and live someplace new every week or month or however often you want, right? So people are living in their RVs. That's this whole like RV life and van life thing's kind of exploded on like Instagram and stuff. People are living out of these RVs and traveling and being someplace new every week and taking pictures and putting it on social media, but still can do a typical office job from their RV wherever they go. So that's a big driver of it. And also on top of that, millennials are the largest purchasers of these RVs. Part of that traveling thing, but also in many cases they are getting priced out of homes. They're outbid. They can't buy a house anywhere. So next best thing is like, let's just go buy an RV and travel and have fun. While we still can. So So that's pretty pushed things along the way, and that's kind of a big driver of the properties we pursue. You're going to be attractive to that type of people that want to come here and have a good place to enjoy their time and have fun and have good Wi-Fi connections to do their social media stuff. So again, typically with these properties, we provide, or the property itself provides a great cash flow. So if you want to think about why that is, as opposed to something else, is most people are familiar with the short-term rental. You think of Airbnb, right? You've got a short-term rental house versus a long-term rental house. Everything else equal, same property, same location area, whatever. In most cases, that short-term rental is going to produce higher income than the long-term rental. And so these properties are basically a short-term rental at a multifamily scale. So you've got multiple short-term rentals on one property, hundreds of short-term rentals right there. And on top of that, you've got these other things that are driving income as well. People are coming there to spend money to rent a boat or rent a paddleboard or pay to use some facilities, or coming for like a concert event. Maybe they're coming there not even for camping. They're to come for a concert, spend money while they're there doing other things. And so provides great opportunities to have lots of different things going on. Typically on our average deal, just to give an idea of, I guess, the cash flow, on our average deal, what we target, we're looking for a 12 to 15% cash on cash. That's the average over a 5-year hold. So we'll come in and buy the property. Year one will still be, relatively low for this, but still higher than what you're usually seeing in most things. So first year might be between the 8 to 10% cash on cash. Then year two goes up maybe 12 to 14. It kind of just goes up each year by 1 or 2%. Till by the fifth year, we're maybe averaging around a 25% cash on cash year 5. So that average that period is still at 12 to 15 typically. Pays out right away. There's nothing held back. So you invest in a deal, even if it goes on something today, if you're in that deal, it's going to pay out at the end of this quarter right away. Not telling you got to wait 6 months to a year before you get paid anything. Pays out right away. And typically along with great cash flow, you're also getting great returns overall, equity multiples. So our average deal, again, we're looking at usually I'd say a 2.5 to 3x multiple over that 5-year hold. That's a combination between the cash flows and the equity. And our average deals, I'd say, are typically about a 50,000 minimum. We have had a few that are as low as 25, like it shows on the screen there. Others up to 100,000 minimum. So kind of things across the board depending on the property and location. But the other great thing is, like it says, you can play where you invest, or I have on my screen, invest where you play. If you're invested in a multifamily or self-storage or even a mobile home park or whatever, you're probably not going to live there. You're probably not going to go and have a barbecue in the parking lot and hang out with your friends and talk about stuff. But with these campgrounds, you can invest in, and you can actually go there, have fun, great experiences, great memories for you and your friends and family. Talk about investing in real estate and how you're investing in this property specifically. And part of that is a perk for our investors, because we want you to go there and we want you to go have fun. You invest in our properties, you get up to 1 week free stay at the property you're invested in per year, plus discounts beyond that at that property and all other properties that we own. So you could essentially travel and live in different properties across the different states, and live there discounted price at the same time earning money on those properties. So again, our sister company called Beyonder. Beyonder Camp is our campground management company. They manage our own properties, of course, but also other third-party campgrounds as well. Think of it kind of similar to like a KOA. Essentially, KOA would be our competition, basically, as far as like a franchise type model for campground operations. Beyonder is who we use to have the software in place to do the online reservations, dynamic pricing. They oversee any CapEx development things going on in the property, the hiring and training of staff. So just a great resource for us to have internally to make sure these campgrounds are up to our standards. We can kind of, most of everyone here, of course, is already an investor, so you kind of understand how the whole syndication process works as far as how you can invest with us for different, entities. So I don't need to go into all the details of that. Here's our current portfolio as of right now. We have 4 properties, 1 or 2 in Iowa. That first one, Sleepy Hollow, was that first one that Adam and Justin did all by themselves. And then we came along with Rising Sun in Indiana. We closed earlier this year. And then the other 2, Sterrett Creek in Missouri, and then the other Lazy Acres in Iowa. Those both we closed this year. I want to say just about a month ago, actually, both of them like the same week. Then we have currently 3 more under contract as is right now, with several more, of course, in the works. So lots of deal flow for us, lots of great opportunities. We are getting momentum, getting into bigger properties, bigger deals. In fact, the next one we have coming up, I think totals the sum of all of those ones together. So huge properties we're getting into. So I'll give you some examples. These are ones we've already closed on. Again, those first two, Sleepy Hollow, was a relatively smallish one, we'll say. 26 acres, 126 RV spots, 3 cabins, and 4 mobile home lots. It was initially purchased, I think, with let's see here, about a 1.6 million purchase price. It had a projected 37% IRR year 5, minimum investment of 25,000. Cash one, or year 1 projected cash on cash was 10.2%. Our actual year 1 on that one was actually over 12%. So we outdid that first year expectations. Rising Sun, again in Indiana, it was actually called Little Farm on the river when we bought it, but we changed the name to Rising Sun. It's got a nice property there with a pond in the middle, the swimming pool, and also more sites along the river. This is one where we actually are building in an amphitheater there to do some of those weekend concert events. This one a little bit bigger, almost 30 acres, 188 total sites, 180 full hookup RVs pads, some cabins, some other dry camping spaces. This one has a 3.4 million purchase price. We actually we had a fundraise of 1.9 million on that one. We actually oversubscribed on that. Again, the average expected cash on cash 11% plus. Had a 25,000 minimum. And we closed on this one, May of this year. So again, closed in May. We paid out distributions to our investors in July. So you get your very first cash flow distribution in July. Nothing held back. And just want to throw this out there. So this Thursday, 2 days from now, if you are free at 7 p.m. Eastern, we are doing a monthly educational webinar. So not anything specific with Happy Camper Capital. We're not talking about our deals or anything like that. These are just general education to help you as an investor to be better informed and better, I guess, inspired on ways you can improve your personal finances, improve your personal financial independence. We did one last month about how to create and use a fund. The one we have this Thursday is most of you probably know Parker Purcell. He's coming to talk about the EQRP, or how do you invest with using your IRA and not pay taxes from the UBIT tax with that. We have ones coming up in October, November, talking about using a whole life insurance, like the policy to invest using that infinite banking concept. In November, we'll be discussing, as somebody mentioned, using a solo 401k or a solo IRA, how to get those set up and use them. So just all kinds of topics. We're going to be doing this every month, typically the first Thursday of each month. I do know that this Thursday is actually the second Thursday of September, but we had to do that for our presenter could not be there the first week. So, but anyway, just expect for that, plan for that. If you can come, great. You can find that on our website. Just go to Happy Camper Capital, go to our the blog, find the blog section. You'll find information there to register for that. And then for you, of course, get a hold of me and talk to me. You have my email right there, don.spafford@happycampercapital.com. That is my cell phone number right there. So you can call, text, send me a message anytime. Of course, you can find me on LinkedIn, Facebook. Go to our website, happycampercapital.com. Go to the About Us tab. You can find my name there and find my Calendly link right there on the website as well to set up a time if you want to have a Zoom call or a phone call. You can schedule that there. And yeah, I'm always happy to talk to anybody about anything involved with Happy Camper Capital or anything else I'm doing as well. Or just general topics. I love talking real estate. I love getting to know people. Much like I said, I am still an introvert, but I love talking real estate, so I can kind of get through my personal, I guess, emotions and setbacks and stuff to talk about real estate, because that's something I love talking about. I love helping people as well. So happy to talk about any of that. And I guess we'll let Lawrence, I guess, continue the discussion here of what we want to do next year.
Thank you, Don. Wonderful presentation, man. Thank you very much. Wonderful presentation. Thanks. Wonderful presentation. There's a few questions that's here. Marina Wong wants to know, who did you say the operators are?
So of Happy Camper Capital, the operators, so there's myself, Adam Lindy, and Justin Hoggett are the 3 partners on the executive team. We have another 3 guys to help with the acquisitions and investor relations. Mm-hmm. We actually are currently hiring on actual employees right now as well, for an internal accountant, administrative assistant. So if you know somebody, we are looking. We'd be happy to talk to somebody that would be interested in that. But yeah, so the ones that are managing and operating these properties, again, myself, Adam Lindy, and Justin Hoggett.
Okay, thank you. Now, Angel has a question. Do these become longer-term holds for you and your team?
Yeah. So the planned hold period as an investor is 5 years. We may exit sooner if we hit our goals sooner. We don't project or plan for a refinance like in year 2 or 3, just because that could skew the numbers if we don't end up doing it or it doesn't work out as expected. So we don't plan for it. If it makes sense to do the time, we will do that as well. But the expected hold period is 5-year hold. At the end of that 5 years, we would look to exit as either a refinance to pay off the investors and then hold that property in beyond our camp, or depending on the current circumstances of the market, we may open it on for sale in the open market as well.
Okay. And another question from Angel. Are y'all considering increasing the minimum buy-in as the property size grows?
Yeah, that's kind of it's a needed thing, I guess. So as I said, we've had minimums vary across depending on the size of those properties. There are 2 smaller ones were 25,000 minimum. As they got bigger, it became 50 or 100. That being that they were 5, 6 Bs, that was part of that. As we have a $6 million raise, it's gonna be hard to get there with 35 unaccredited investors. So if the raise size is larger, the minimum will be larger as well with that. But also part of, I think I mentioned earlier, we are in process of creating a 506c fund that will be used to purchase multiple properties within that fund. So that would kind of therefore give us that opportunity to get these much larger properties with accredited investors only, and then still have some other 506b opportunities come up as well.
Nice. Okay, there you go. Got anything else you want to ask, Angel? You got your answers?
Yeah, it does bring me to one other question.
Okay.
Because y'all are offering the 1 week stay at the property you invest in. And so, I mean, I won't even lie. I've been looking at an RV park. Somebody brought it to us and was like, hey, will you take a look at this? And I'm like, that's coming from residential. I like buy and hold. I like buy and hold a whole lot. And these look like really amazing buy and hold properties. Like really good buy and hold place.
So
yeah, I agree.
Maria has another question, right? Maria has another question. What's the waterfall and what would be the typical financing?
Yeah, so the waterfall, so we have it set up as it's a 65-35 split, LPGP. We have typically, in this varies some of my property as well, but there is a waterfall after we hit either 18% or 21% IRR, then it goes to 50-50 split. So either depending on the property, we've typically done 21%. We have come down to 18 on occasion, but even then we're still looking at the near 20% IRR before it goes 50-50. So that's pretty incredible deal either way.
Yeah, I would say so. Yep.
So I wanted to put another spin on this. In my other life, I am a traveling YouTuber. Right. And I wanted to mention that because I have a lot of fellow YouTubers that specialize in what you're doing, not the real estate part, but they are expats that travel the country, they do van life and RV life. So if anyone was wondering like how practical is this, it's very practical. I know people with hundreds and thousands of followers that this is exactly what they do. So for me, I travel the world, but they literally go from state to state living at RV parks. They change over their vans. They do schoolies, which are school buses. They do RVs. They do SUVs. Like they don't even have to be huge. So I've actually never thought about the real estate side of this. So it's something I'm very interested in. So I already sent my request for Thursday. But I just wanted to give that side of it for those that may not be as familiar with this side of the world.
Yeah, and thanks for that. That brings up a great point. So when we go to purchase a property, there's of course lots of due diligence that goes on. Our standard close period is typically 90 days or more sometimes, because there's a lot more to go through than just a standard multifamily building, right? But part of that, we want to research the property itself and what's the general I guess, public view of it. And like you said, those YouTubers that do that have been a big resource. We can go and find a video from a random YouTuber that says, "Hey, I stay at this property. This is what we think of it." And it's like, "Hey, so here's just a general public view of what these, we'll say, professional travelers consider this property to be like, and if they enjoyed it or not, and the things they say that could be better or worse." So all those gives us great ideas on things we can look at to do.
So Randy Joe has a question. Randy Joe says, if you were to refinance, would you have infinity distributions?
As far as like infinite returns for the investors after that, you mean?
Yes.
That's currently that's not the plan. When we refinance or sell, all investors would be paid off and be out of the property. Essentially, hopefully to go into to more with us. The 506c fund would be maybe a little bit longer period. If anything, invest in that fund is expected to be open for a period of 8 years for everything in it to go full cycle and pay out. So you'd be there a bit longer term than a standard one-off property. But as of right now, we don't have any I guess plans for infinite returns on properties yet. If one comes up where it would make sense to do maybe a much larger property to get higher investors at larger amounts to come in, we may maybe consider that as a possibility. But as of right now, we have not done anything like that.
And another question here by Marina. She wants to know, is the financing a fixed rate, variable rate, interest only for a few years?
So again, as we've done different properties, different situations, we've got a couple that are seller financed, 100% seller financed. Well, let's say 100%. The financing comes 100% from the seller. We're still bringing our down payment and capex budget stuff, but and then the other ones we've done so far have just been traditional bank commercial financing, so not institutional Fannie anything like that. But they've been generally now is kind of become more compressed, I guess. We're typically doing, when we get bank financing, it's at 70% LTC, typically with a 1 to 3 year interest only period. Fixed rate, for 3 to 5 years, with a 25-30 year amortization. So general great terms. Of course, interest rates are going up. We're still right now in the fives usually. Again, some of these seller finance ones give us more flexibility and options we can do with that. But typically so far, getting financing is not much of an issue. We've not had to use any bridge debt or bridge loans or anything else like that just yet. It's all been traditional straight up bank financing and our investors.
Thank you, Don. Also, Tiffany has a question for you, Don. What are the key factors in evaluating these versus traditional multifamily? That's one. And how do you gauge where is it good to invest? Just by tourist numbers, or what do you use? So the first question, what key factors are you using evaluating RV parks as opposed to traditional multifamily?
Yeah, so there's some things that are going to be the same, and then lots of things that are different. So one, obviously, we're going to look at their historical financials, right? We want to see what they've done the last, like, say, at least 3 years, as far as general income, and when we can, if the park's been around long enough, pre-COVID and post-COVID, to see if there's been much of a shift or change or how it's affected by any of that. In most cases, the numbers have gotten better, but not something like have gotten worse, like they shut down or anything like that. So we're going to look at those historical financials, see what's been going on, what's the reason for improvement or going down, vice versa. And we want to, of course, we do a site visit. We want to see, first of all, opportunities that are there that even the current owners may not know about, or what we have not thought about just from seeing the numbers and seeing the pictures and whatnot, as you're going to do with the multifamily anyway. But we're going to run through all the things. With these properties too, it's not just a standard. Here's your monthly rental for 2 bed, 3 bed, whatever. There's usually at least 10 different income streams on these properties. You're gonna have your rental rates for the RV pads, which could be nightly, weekly, monthly, seasonal. You've got some cases cabins as well. You got your other camping spaces for tents and things. So lots of different things there going on from the rental income. Then you've got convenience stores, possibly restaurants, boat or paddleboard rentals, maybe horseback riding rentals or what we would call that, I guess, and different things going on. So there's multiple different aspects to consider. So it's not just a straight cut standard across the board, comparing a multifamily to another multifamily. We will, of course, look at other surrounding properties to get some comps for what the properties nearby are charging, and kind of their general level of properties. Is the class A, B, or C, what kind of amenities they offer, and then kind of adjust our prices based on that. So when we do our underwriting, if for example, we look at a property that charges $30 a night for a standard RV site, and a nearby property very similar is charging, say, $50 a night. Okay, we see there's a big variance there, but when we do our projections, we're not bumping it up to even anything near 50 for our projections. We're just keeping it minimal. We'll maybe raise it 35 to like $35, so like a small increase as compared, and run those numbers. What's it look like? And even with those very minimum improvements, we're looking at huge returns already. So with that extremely conservative underwriting, we know that no matter what, this property is going to do great at a bare minimum basis. But we know that we're going to exceed or at least meet or exceed those other comparable properties by the time we finish our improvements and whatnot. But yeah, you've got to review any environmental factors. You look into the septic wells if they have them. We also look around what's near the area. This kind of goes back to again some of the basic criteria we're looking for. Something with a 2 or 3 hour drive of a major city, so not in the middle of nowhere. People don't have to go out of their way just to get there, because why would they go there then, right? So there's got to be something nearby, but also things that are going to bring people to come there versus another property. So that's part of it. And another thing is, of course, if it's something that's near a destination, like something that's near, say, Disney World or near Yellowstone or Zions Park or something, that people are going to be going to those places anyway, and they're going to stay at a nice facility nearby where they can park and have a good time when they're not doing the touring things. So I don't know if I answered that question yet or not fully, but there's lots of things to look into. It's not just a standard, cut and dry kind of thing. And then the second part of that, how do we gauge if it's good to invest in? We look at the opportunity. So kind of like most people that I know of anyway, that when you're looking at a multifamily or something, we're looking at probably 100 or more properties before we find one that we think is worth going after for our investors, right? So one of our acquisitions guys says he's literally made like 900 phone calls before he gets a deal under contract with somebody that's going to work out. So first of all, finding the people that want to sell, then working out the price that works for us. Being that, again, we are very conservative, want to provide these great value, great return opportunities to our investors. We're not just grabbing anything that comes along the way. There's in many cases, the properties that are listed through a broker are not going to meet the numbers that we expect, which is why we mostly go through directly to the owners ourselves and work out a price. So that's really for us, what it comes down to is like, okay, do we know that if we're going to, at a worst case scenario, be able to meet our minimum expectations of this 12 to 15% cash on cash and 2.5, 3x multiple? If we can do that at our minimum expectations, then that's we consider a killer deal worth going after to provide this under promise, over deliver great value to our investors. Anything less than that is just even for us, too risky. We're not going to go after something that's looking at maybe only a 8% cash on cash or 1.5, 2x multiple. That's just not good enough for us. We're at a place where we can pass on those types of deals right now and go after the cream of the crop, and that let other people take those if they want to. We're going after the very best, and providing the best options for investors right now. As we progress and get into, as things go on, and more competitors get in the space and numbers become more compressed, then that may change. But for right now, we're being extremely picky on the properties we are pursuing.
Thank you, Don. Thank you for everybody. Any more questions?
Hey, I had a question. This is Richard. I'm plugging back in here. I might have missed some of this while I was walking this property when I'm back in the car driving, but this was a great presentation, Don. I have to hand it to you. You have great enthusiasm for the topic, and you've definitely learned a tremendous amount about that space just in the short amount of time you've been doing RV. I guess my question, you mentioned seasonality earlier. So if you're focused on recreational and tourist areas, of course, there's seasonality depending on weather or just people's vacation. So You can overcome that slightly by lowering the rate, of course, during those off times. But does your marketing maybe try to encompass construction workers or other people that might be longer term? Or do you more tend to penalize people that want to stay longer term sometimes?
No, that's a great point. So we of course do what's best overall for our investors and for the property. But there is definitely seasonality to it, no matter what, even if it's in Florida versus Minnesota. But we look at multiple ways we can still produce income even during those off-season times. And some of that could be people that are staying more long-term. Like you might get people that will stay for 6 months or whatever. We have one of our properties in Iowa where we have some traveling nurses that are staying there kind of a longer term while they're working at a nearby hospital or whatever. And we still find ways to produce income in those off seasons. So there may not be as many people out just camping, we'll say, but these properties typically have some cabins on site, so people may be coming for a family gathering or just getting out anyway to go skiing, snowmobiling, or whatever kind of outdoor winter activities it could be. We still have opportunities for people to pay for RV and boat storage. So they'll be paying during those off seasons just to kind of keep their things there instead of paying somewhere else. There could be, like you said, some cases where it could be just get better rates for people that are looking for something when it's not as popular. We also have some other options that we've looked into, and recently in that very first property in Iowa, this last winter, a local business actually approached us and wanted to rent the facility or share in the profits of a drive-through Christmas light display. So it's something that you don't typically think of when you think of an RV park or RV campground, right? But we see that, okay, there's an opportunity there for sure. Well, why not? It makes sense. Use the space and produce some income within the off season, and help at the same time drive attention to people nearby that may not be aware of that property to say, oh, this is here, I didn't know this. And so they'll come, and when we are back in a traditional camping, they'll come back for that. So we look at multiple things we can do. There's also, in most cases, some type of an event facility on site, like for wedding receptions, company gatherings, outings, that kind of stuff. So other events could still go on in these properties even year round. We still always find ways to capitalize the best we can even during the off season, and even in some cases, people are just prepaying their upcoming reservation, like say for summer, to make sure they have a space they're going to have. They're going to pay for that during winter to reserve it 6 months ahead of time.
So there's two more questions. I know you got to get back to the family. So there's the last two questions. Good. Right? I know there's a time difference here. Okay. Tiffany ask, oh no, I'm sorry, yeah. No, my bad. Christmas says, do the YouTubers change travel habits based on weather? Like, have you noticed, like you say, look a lot on YouTube. So do they change their travel habits during the winter, or does the change of weather?
Sorry, yeah. Good.
You can go, Don. Tell me what you see, and I can tell you what I see.
Well, you're more of the expert there, the YouTuber, so I'll let you answer first.
I would say that a lot of people, when they travel, they tend to be snowbirds. So they tend to go away from the cold weather. And it doesn't even matter if they're local, long distance, but a lot of people travel away. But you do have some people that actually are looking for cold weather, and they're looking for those activities in the cold weather. So it's more so targeting your audience and knowing who to target and your keywords. I mean, everything in the YouTube or whatever, social media spaces, keywords. So, I mean, if I did a property, like if he had a property in New York or Colorado, I wouldn't shy away from it because it's in the cold. I would actually go towards the one in Colorado because I know they're going for skiing, and frankly, they're going for marijuana. So I would think about those things. You got to also remember, most of these people don't hold 9-to-5 jobs. So they don't have those limits either.
Yeah, great points there. I cannot speak at all to the marijuana part of it, but yeah. So you think about it, there's people that, like you said, there's plenty of winter activities that go on anyway. People enjoy, whether it be downhill skiing, cross country skiing, ice fishing, snowmobiling, all these activities that people are still doing. So if we have a property that's, say, on a lake, that people are during summer out, skiing and boating and paddleboarding, If that same property is still open during winter and that lake is frozen over and there's fish in it, they can still come there for ice fishing, and other outdoor winter camping. I myself am an Eagle Scout with the Boy Scouts, so we always did winter camp outs every year. So Boy Scouts, they're going to go out and maybe use these properties possibly as a place that would have some good facilities on site, so they're not in the wilderness in the middle of nowhere. So they have access to help if needed. So there's groups that will still come there during winter anyway. So that's not too much of a factor. As far as like she said with the YouTubers, that sounds probably pretty accurate to me, I guess. People are still traveling, and in any case, if they're not in the location long term, they'll still, even if they're there for a day or two, just as a place to rest and kind of get to know what's nearby, like check out the cities nearby. It's a good place. People still stop and stay there just to go check out Chicago or Denver or whatever that's within a short drive from the campground.
So last question. Tiffany says, does it ever make sense to build it out versus buy it?
So as of right now, we have not done any brand new builds. The properties we acquire as part of our CapEx that we do to improve them, that typically includes some build out. So we're going to expand it and add on more RV pads or boat dock marinas and things. But we have not done any just pure 100% ground up development of a campground yet. That is in our foreseeable future of something we will pursue and do. One, as this, as more people get into this space and it becomes more competitive, more compressed, it would probably make more sense then to do some new development. Right now, we're still finding great opportunities with existing properties. Will cash flow day one, so we can provide that great returns to our investors right now, rather than tell them you got to wait a while, because it's not quite the same as building a brand new multifamily building and getting it filled up with renters right away. You have to build up that presence, be known in the space. You have people that are aware of it to come there and stop by. So it's not just like build it and they'll come. You got to build it and then advertise and get people to come there. So it'd be a lot more speculative for investors to get into, I think, right away. I guess I can say that we are in process of a potential development with a developer who wants to build one, and essentially he'll finance it and pay for it, and just wants us to come in to help watch over it, manage it, and then sell it back to us, after it's been operating for like a year or so. So that's one that we may potentially be getting into very soon, without giving more details on that just yet. But that will be an incredible opportunity if that happens. But as of right now, yeah, we do see, though, I said, maybe within a few years, we could potentially be doing more of those development deals.
So it's be more like a master lease. The deal, the guy that develops would be like a master lease. That's what Angel said.
Yeah. Somebody's developing a large amount of space for lots of other things going on nearby, but wants to include an RV resort campground as part of it, because of everything else that's going to be around it. That it would make sense to have that there to bring people to those other things nearby. So I don't want to give too much more details on that right now.
I hear you. Well, you know what? I want to say thank you, Don, for a fantastic presentation. Right, this is not the same Don I know from before, from 2021, the end of 2020. You have definitely grown in all areas, man, and I'm really appreciate you coming on tonight. And really happy for you and what's going on.
Thanks, Lawrence.
Before we go, though, and anybody turn the camera on, please. Tony, Marina, Richard, you keep your camera off. You're driving. Oh, you can keep it. Oh, you're home already. Oh boy, you must have known I'm gonna take a picture. Charisma.
Hey Don, they're gonna call it Donnie World instead of Dolly World. So it sounds to me like somebody's building an entertainment little park there.
Hey Kim, how you doing?
Good idea. Thanks.
Marina, you ever tell your camera on? Devora, SK. In a couple of weeks, our guest will be Kim Van Bad from Philadelphia. Thank you. Hey, but Mona Home, that Dallas Cowboy business going on. But we'll leave that alone right now. I know, go Cowboys. I know. Everybody smile, please. Good to see you, Mona. Good to see you.
You too.
Let's smile again, one time. Thank you kindly. Once again, Don Spafford, thank you for a fantastic presentation, taking time for your family.
My pleasure. And
Good.
I'll just to say my contact information is near the top of the chat there. If you want to scroll up and see it, you can get hold of me. I'm happy to talk to anybody here and answer more questions or go through some more details on any of that we talked about tonight. Obviously, invite everybody to come to our portal just to register on our portal. No obligation. You can get on there to see more what we're doing and be aware of these webinars, things that come up as they do.
So once again, thank you again for coming on tonight, everybody. Have a great evening and a fantastic week.